Devolution for Devlog, and I'm super excited to be talking to Brocarde, who has joined me. And you're looking absolutely stunning, my love.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you
You
so
really are.
much. I was
I
like,
was
a compliment. I'm so awkward with compliments. I'm like, oh, thanks, me.
I was hoping that you'd look like you do, because obviously, as well as the sound, it's theatrical as well. Your music. Could I trouble you to do my job for me and explain to maybe those who haven't heard you before what your sound is?
Well, it's really tricky, but I always feel like it's a little bit like a musical horror story. Like when I write something, I my main focus, regardless of any genre or anything else, is to kind of tell the story. And I find a lot of what I'm doing is basically just orchestrating my inner emotions. So naturally, the music just sounds quite haunting and quite creepy. It's quite cinematic. Like I try to take people into my own mind with the kind of like the music that's orchestrating these kind of words. And yeah, it's a little bit of a storybook. It's sort of like, it's a bit fairy tale-y, but a really dark fairy tale. So it's kind of quite whimsical, but quite heartfelt.
Yeah,
And it's like that sound now feels 100% natural, and it is 100% who I am, because
yeah.
it's kind of like looks as I sound. And, you know, it kind of took, when I was younger, it took a while to kind of figure out who I was. And as soon as everything just clicked into place, and I was like, this is absolutely the kind of music that I should be making. And it just kind of comes out that way now. And yeah, it's just kind of quite an exciting journey for even me to be on as a new artist.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy you feel that you've found yourself as well. You
Mm.
found who you are. Did you have to sort of hide who you were as you were growing up, or
Um, I'm not sure if it was a case of hiding. I think it was more not having the confidence to fully be myself. I think I was always a little bit quirky, always a little bit like I always felt like I didn't quite fit in. And I know that's a horrible cliche. Like a lot of people in sort of the rock and metal genre say that. But I genuinely just did not feel like I had met my people. Like at school, I was always just like, oh, I, I was kind of quite awkward growing up, and I knew 100% inside who I was. I
okay?
just didn't necessarily have the confidence to be that. Like I went through horrible phases of like trying to dye my hair blonde, trying to fit this kind of bubblegum aesthetic, and just like almost. And then I feel like when you do that, there's something inside of you that naturally rebels against it if it's not you. And I kept feeling that that was what was happening with me. Even like when I first started writing music, I would have these really, really dark lyrics, like they were very heavy. And because I was kind of presenting myself with this blonde hair, people
Okay.
used to think, oh, this is a pop project. This is like a bubblegum thing. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
and it never matched the words. It never matched like what was inside of me. Like I had all of this quite emotive, like heavy, like emotionally driven words, and
yeah,
quite deep and quite dark. And
yeah,
for a long time, it didn't quite match and it didn't quite gel. And I knew I had something to say.
yeah.
And I knew I had quite a lot to say. And I think now I've just kind of found the confidence to just say it. And the right people like it. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
that's
everyone
the thing.
does,
Yeah,
but the right people do. And I feel like I found the right people in some capacities. So it's
yeah,
quite
100%.
comforting
You've
for me.
found your tribe. It's
Mm.
interesting you say that your outer image wasn't the same as what was coming from inside you as well. That's probably a metaphor for society, actually, isn't it? Um,
Yeah, no, I think that's a true with a lot of people, but yeah, you get there eventually.
Would I? Yeah, 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 blue hair. It's like
Yeah.
I don't have to have a. Well, I don't think I have a proper job anymore, but equally for proper jobs, I feel like times are changing. You can maybe be a little more expressive of who you are, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I hope so. I hope it's getting that way. I hope we are starting to sort of accept people however they choose to present themselves. And I mean, I suppose there's some very strict corporate jobs where that's not always the case. But yeah, in creativity now,
Yeah.
hopefully we're getting there.
I sat in a solicitor's office the other day because my husband deals with property. And so he's wearing a suit and everything. And I'm there looking like this. So I thought, what the fuck? But, when I open my mouth, occasionally intelligent things do come out. I just a bit like Cookie Monster at the minute. Tell me, tell me about. Well, no, let's just go back to your music. Every single word you take, you roll it around, and it comes back out. You relish everything you're saying. Nothing is
Yeah,
said rhyme. It's said because it's come from the heart.
yeah, no, I feel like words are my kind of superpower. Like I understand the power of words. Like when I was that kid not fitting in, I understood how words could almost be a weapon. And then I kind of turned that into something that could potentially empower people. So I love words and I love playing around with them and like thinking of different ways to say the same thing. And yeah, I love kind of like word play and playing around with concepts and things like that. I think I'm quite a deep person and I'm one of those kind of analytical people. So I will often sit back and kind of read the room and read people. And I don't know, I think when you're a songwriter, you take these real life situations and you kind of, yeah, you kind of take a spin on it and it becomes your art in some way. So it's quite cool to have that tool. And I think that tool as well has got me through some times when I wasn't feeling great. I think songwriting is a great tool for like when you don't fit in or when you've had a horrible day or when there's things just in life generally you want to process, you kind of turn them into something more positive.
Yeah, well, music saves, doesn't it? If you had a bad day, you write a song about. You'd put a song on that would cheer you up or that would reflect your mood. It's just
Yeah, I think as well, like as a songwriter, I can say things in a song which I wouldn't necessarily say in real life. Like as I get older, I'm getting better at saying it in real life and
okay.
articulating myself that way. But when I was growing up, I found like I was quite insular. I couldn't tell people how I was feeling. So I thought like this songwriting was actually quite a powerful tool to do that. It allowed me to kind of vent without directly venting and,
Yeah.
articulating it in a conversational way. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tool that's been quite valuable to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I now feel that things just come out my mouth. I'm like, oh, whoops a daisy, that came out. But
Yeah.
it's out, it's done. Feel better for it.
Well, yeah, no, it should as well. Like, I mean, just having that freedom of just saying what you think sometimes it's just quite necessary, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is at the minute. Who are your influences musically? I'm going to ask in a sec, but I was looking at your Spotify bio, and it mentioned you like the love child of Edgar Allan Poe and Sylvia Plath. I feel like
Yeah.
potentially sisters on that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, neither of those are musical references, but
No,
that's what I mean. That kind of like it's the words. And, with someone like Sylvia Plath, it's that kind of really clever way of articulating emotion that
yeah.
is quite unusual, or it probably was quite
I
unusual
was going
in
to
her
say it
day.
was,
I
yeah,
mean,
back then, wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, yeah, in
absolutely.
her day, but maybe
Yeah.
not so much now. But musically, I'm a weird one because I don't profess to be cool at all musically. Like I grew up and I used to listen to, well, it's funny because I trained in musical theatre. So a lot of people
I'm not
go, oh,
surprised to
you're
hear that.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, you're very theatrical. And that's something I can't, even when I talk, I'm quite theatrical. And I don't know if that's just my theatrical training that just won't go away. I'm quite an animated person as well. Like even with like the way I talk and like the way I move, like I'm quite an animated person. But musically, I kind of grew up listening to things like Phantom of the Opera and, all those like dark, intense storytelling songs and even cheesy stuff. And I say cheesy because I don't think it's cheesy, but things like Meatloaf, where the songs took you on a little bit of a journey,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of, metalheads will be like, oh no, that's terribly cheesy, but I'm proud of that. Like those
Completely.
songs really kind of tell a story. And even things like Queen and like Bo
Oh
Rap,
yeah.
that is 100 songs in one. And I love the way that that song broke every single rule that ever existed. And I try to kind of bear that in mind. I'm one of those people that will write an 8-minute song because
Yeah.
I ain't done.
Yeah. This is
Like,
it. Yeah. Keep going.
yeah,
Keep going. If you
yeah,
want to,
and I'm just
hear
like,
3 minutes pop punk, listen to Blink or whatever. But no, if you want to hear something that's 30
my
songs.
biggest challenge is literally cutting things down. And I'm just like, well, that's not really how I want people to hear it. But some people are like that. Some people are like, oh, a minute and a half before you even started singing. And I was like, I was setting the scene. Come on. But yeah, I guess there's a place for that, and then there's a place for the shorter versions. But yeah, like how I would happily write 7-8 minute songs.
I think that makes you stand out as well.
Mm.
Like by setting the scene, that's a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, no, I think it is. And I think as well, it's better, like when you're kind of making the video to a longer song, it kind of gives you a chance to tell a story. And, when it's kind of cut down to 3 minutes, it's like, I wanted to, like my song Identity Theft, I wanted to like show the birthing of, because that to me is quite like an important song in my own kind of journey. And I'm like, well, when I wrote this, I fully imagined this sort of alien birth conception. And it's long-winded, it's a birth.
These things don't just happen.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't pop out. So we do have the version where the baby starts and that it's born. But like in my mind, when I wrote that, I was like, well, I'm kind of being reborn into this. So I want to take the listener on the journey. And some people won't appreciate that. Some people will want the like boom straight in there. But I guess there's a place and a time for both versions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we're fed TV and culture feeds us lies essentially, and like you say, babies don't just pop out like like that. So your music is authentic.
I know, a lot of people wish they would. No, I don't actually know. So I'm not in the club. So I don't know. But again, I suppose
kills. Honestly, if more people talked about it, the world would be a better place. Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
I
bet. Tell me, your debut single was 2019, and that was Last Supper. An amazing single, but what a time to release your debut, and then the world again went absolutely mad. COVID.
It's funny because you don't take into these kind of crazy things when you're writing albums or writing music. I mean, I think a lot of like my whole project and my whole album, it's been a long time in the making. Like I've been writing with the same producer for like almost 10 years, and it blows my mind. And I'm still right. Well, I've got the album. I've got an album here, but I'm still thinking like I just want to enjoy it. Like I don't feel the need to be like, here's my album. I'm still a new artist in a lot of people's eyes, and I want people to kind of like get used to me a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, and you don't necessarily have when you're independent, you don't necessarily have to play by the rules. So there are pros and cons to that as well. And I kind of view it a little bit differently. I think that for me, sometimes a song is like a moment in time and a story, and you just want to get that out and see what the reaction is, and then the next installment. So I'm kind of treating it like a little storybook at the moment, but there's definitely going to be an album on the way, like 2026. I think that is, because I want to keep that momentum going, and I want to kind of show that I am an album artist, and I've got that body of work. But I think you get a little bit precious sometimes over your work, and you're fearful of letting it go. And I'm slowly coming around. And I think I'm slowly coming around to like just letting it go and moving on, because you change so much as an artist as well. Like I'm lucky that a lot of my songs, when I hear them, they still mean the same to me. But you do grow and you do change as an artist. So, me, even 6 months ago, has different things to say now. So I feel like the time is kind of coming. So I'm really excited to kind of get that album out there. And I think as well, like just sharing that body of work is different as well from just sharing a single. And I think people can really invest into it and kind of, well, hopefully invest into it and invest into me as an artist. So I'm quite excited for that.
You bring a lot of different aspects to the table as well. Image, theatrics, music. It's different. It's a lot of elements for people to look into as well. So it's not just the audio, it is, like you say, it's visual. And you just, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's just and totally, like you said, a totally immersive experience.
Yeah, well, I hope it is. I mean, it is for me because I put a lot into it, and hopefully that does translate, because I think the nice thing as well about being an independent artist, like I'm not in any way like a control freak, but I love having the freedom that every idea is mine. It's like in that Identity Theft video, I was there painting that alien, I was there like, placing all the dolls. Like it's a very like organic, natural thing for me to be jumping from behind the camera to in front of the camera. And that's quite empowering because you do have full control over your your vision. And also even sitting there editing it, like editing now, like I find it hard because I think anyone will say this. I hate watching myself back.
Oh,
I
no.
will like I annoy myself so much, and but I'm getting to the stage now. I'm forcing myself to do it because now I'm just trying to take out the whole vanity thing, because when it's you see things that other people don't necessarily see, and I'm like, this is how I want to tell the story. So I'm not afraid to be like there in a hospital gown, like rolling around, panting and giving birth, because I don't want to be like there looking all like amazing and like immaculate. That's not what the art is about. It's about telling the story and going there. So yeah, it's quite liberating to be able to do that and to be able to be the director and to be like so in control of that vision. And even things like the locations, like the scenes, like everything, like people always go, oh, are you going to storyboard it? I'm like, well, it's in my head. And all I have to do is make sure that comes out. I don't need to sit there, and I'm very kind of, my way of working probably isn't typical at all, but I get what I want in the end of it. So I guess
you must agonize though over every single detail. It must be.
I'm learning to relax a little bit about it. Like I'm learning to just let things go. Like I used to be so much more like bothered about everything, and I just kind of learned to accept now that sometimes things just aren't perfect. Like sometimes things do go slightly wrong. Sometimes you run out of time on one scene, or sometimes something that you can't control happens, and just kind of moving with that and just accepting that it's not going to be 100% perfect, but sometimes that's what makes it interesting. I think that quest for perfection doesn't exist, and just accepting that it's not going to necessarily be perfect, but it's going to be real, and it's going to be, it's going to come authentically from me. And that kind of makes it harder as well when people listen to it, or if someone has an opinion on it, it's like, well, there's nowhere to hide. I can't blame anyone else. So yeah, it's all falling on my shoulders. Like if someone doesn't like a scene or doesn't like an outfit, then oops, can't blame the stylist. Gotta blame yourself.
Good metaphor for life though, that it can't be perfect. You can want it to be perfect.
No, I think that comes with age as well, because life just isn't perfect, and I think it is those, if you look at a life of anyone, it's actually those moments that aren't perfect, that I'm one of those people that actually thrives off of, when you're an independent artist, shit does happen. That is just a part of life. And to have that fighting mentality, sometimes a really bad situation forces you to address who's around you, or to push yourself harder, or to like, I'm one of those people that if something bad happens, I will start fighting. And I think it's kind of good sometimes to have those moments in life that, so I also like interview quite a lot of artists, and I remember, I actually can't remember who it is. Well, I can, but I'm not going to say who it was. And I said, oh, this must be like, you're kind of like fighting all day for success. And it's like, oh, I've never had to fight. I'm like, really? Really? I'm just like, I feel like I'm fighting every day to get heard, or like fighting for like someone to listen to me, or I'm just like, and I think that's just part of my nature now. Like I'm just, I just like, oh, you don't have to fight. Well, lucky you. Am I doing something wrong over here?
No, you're not. I don't like making mistakes, but I make like a trillion, and they hurt. But I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to learn from it, and
I think
it is.
I think as well, like everyone presents this sort of like perfect life and perfect world where everyone loves them and their life is amazing, but it doesn't always work like that. And having the kind of like courage to say, well, no, you're not perfect. This isn't the perfect project. This isn't, perfectly polished all the time. It's not, but that's just life, isn't it? And I think having the courage just to say, look, and accepting that it's not going to be perfect is quite important, I guess.
Absolutely. Tell me about your latest single, Feed My Soul. What is the inspiration behind that?
It's tricky. I think for me, it's quite a sad song when I go back and look, because when you write something, you write it, you get it out, you think it's about something.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when you go back to it, the meaning changes and the meaning changes with you. And I think for me, it was about toxic relationships and having that kind of feeling that you're not quite good enough to suit someone else's ideals. And it kind of starts with quite a vulnerability. And it's kind of like, look, I felt like I just wasn't good enough in a certain situation. And I felt like I wasn't enough in a certain situation. And I think as the song progresses for me, like that kind of sadness turns into almost like a fight. So it kind of gets progressively more aggressive and it's like more sarcastic. And it's kind of like, it's sad if you analyze what I'm actually saying, but in the delivery, it's like I'm kind of not accepting what I'm saying. So it is about the toxicity of the people who are around you and kind of feeling like it's not okay to be yourself. And but it sort of flips on its head slightly for me, because it's sort of like, well, there's a defiance there and there's a sarcasm there. And it's sort of like, well, hate me, just, if that's what you want to do, just hate me. So it that song emotionally is a little bit of a journey for me, because it sort of starts with this vulnerability of just saying, love me, I'm not beautiful because you can't see that I'm beautiful as I am. It's not necessarily even about like physical beauty. It's just who you are, not being the vision of perfection to someone else. Like you have to be something else, that kind of thing all the time. And yeah, I just feel like I tried to turn that around to make it more empowering. But yeah, it kind of is what it is, that song. And it's kind of like it's also about the confusion as well, like of the balance between love and hate, when someone on one hand is like saying that you're amazing, but then their actions are kind of, sort of counterbalancing that. So there's a lot of different things going on in that song, I think. And like I said, sometimes when you write something, you don't necessarily know what it's about 100%. And then you start to do interviews about it. And then you start to analyze yourself almost. And you're okay, maybe this was, And it's kind of like the journey of that song and how it kind of comes out. And, sadness turns to anger and frustration, then fight, sarcasm. So it's a little bit of a journey.
At no point in that song do I hear you being sad. I hear a lot of bite and a lot of fight and a lot of just rising up, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that's what I try to do. But yeah, I suppose it does, like it's supposed to be empowering, but when I think about the actual subject matter, then I suppose it is sad that someone would feel like they couldn't be themselves, or they weren't enough, or they weren't beautiful, or they weren't accepted. And I guess like, because I know how that felt at that point, I find it quite sad to look back that I was once in that place. But yeah, I feel like I always try to empower somehow, or try to empower, because I just remember how difficult it was for me as a teenager, just feeling like I didn't fit in anywhere. And if one person, like one young person or one older person or anyone, can just listen and go, look, you're not the only one in this situation. A lot of people feel like this, and it's not just you. And there is like a light at the end of the tunnel. You will find your way eventually, whether it takes you 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You will eventually find your way. And yeah, I think life has a weird way of making situations happen, and hopefully you come out of them the other side, I guess.
Absolutely. Tell me what you would do to make the world a better place at the minute. I know that's kind of a bit random, but we talk about music and escapism, but what would you do to make the world better?
Well, I mean, I think it is like such a challenge. I think for me, it's like the things that there are so many issues in the world. Like there's so much like destruction, poverty, like huge tragedy, which is way outside of what my life is. I'm talking about fairly trivial issues of not fitting in, which in my world feels important. But, you do have people who literally are living in extreme poverty, or literally trapped in these situations that for one reason or another, they can't get out of these abusive relationships or horrible situations. And that is a problem that's bigger than me. But I mean, I wish those problems didn't exist. And I think as well, like as an artist, it's easy in some ways to be not self-indulgent, but you're processing your own emotion.
Mm.
And in the grand scheme of the world, like not fitting in at school is not really a big life problem. You've got people who are like starving to death, people who are being grossly abused. Like you've got huge issues right across the world, which are bigger than me, which are bigger than a lot of people. But I mean, I wish that wasn't the case. But yeah, perspective as well is quite important. You know,
Yeah, that's
sometimes
the point.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, perspective, like it's not really that bad, but it's easy to say because everyone is affected with what it affects you. And,
This is what I
you
was
know,
going to say.
feeling,
Yeah, your
yeah,
problems are yours. You know, it's just because it's not as big as
yeah.
someone
And
else, it still is to you. It's just the individual.
yeah, it is. And at the same time, you are entitled to feel like if you feel
You're
rubbish, if you feel
feeling. Yeah,
depressed, and you
yeah,
know, from the outside, this happens universally. You can have huge, and you see this so many times, huge rock stars completely at the top of their game. And you know, you get awful tragedies like people taking their own life or people overdosing on drugs. So, you know, there's never the one thing, you know, like fame, fortune, it's never like a you can still have those problems that affect you on a daily basis. So yeah, problems are individual, and it's yeah, sometimes it can feel self-indulgent, but you're living in your own reality, I suppose. And that's the interesting thing about the world. Like we'd all love to like save the world, like have no war, have no hunger, have no famine, have no like horrific acts of like murder and violence and
yeah.
you know hatred towards women. But I suppose it's outside a lot of people's daily lives. So we do become, you know, not obsessed, but we do become wrapped up in our own reality, which I guess is just human nature and it's
Yeah.
not
You
necessarily
can't help
bad. But
others until you help yourself. You know, you can't
it,
start saving the world until you sort yourself out. And, you
yeah,
know,
no, I think it is. And I think, yeah, I think you have to start with yourself because, yeah, I think, you know, it's like you say, isn't it? You have to kind of put yourself first sometimes and
yeah,
be the best version of yourself and do what
yeah.
you can, I guess.
And then move forwards. Tell me what the rest of the year holds for you, please, Brocard.
Wow, this I literally took a brief look at my schedule, and because it's Halloween season, Halloween season. You have the people, and you have my supporters, and you have people who get it. Like Brocarde is not just here for Halloween, and then you have the people who are like, oh, it's Halloween. Let's get the goth singer out. So yeah, my schedule for the next few weeks is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, that's
I'm
really
going to
funny. I didn't
Hallow
think of that. But yeah, of course, let's get the goth singer.
yeah, no, like it's so funny. Like I've got Halloween events. I'm going here, there, and everywhere to different scare events. I'm going to Alton Towers for like Fright nights. So it's literally like I'm so kind of celebrated in my community all year round, but like the wider world, it's like, ooh, Halloween. So yeah, like I'm just like, oh, the next few weeks is like, whoa, okay, that's
Busy.
scary. But aside from that, I have a Halloween single. Haven't shot the video for that.
Oh,
And this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm actually shooting the next music video for my next single in a scare maze. I'm not going to give any more away than that, but
when will
yeah,
that be
I'm
released? Will we
it
have
will be
that?
released just before Halloween.
You're going
I'm
busy.
not giving any more spoilers, but yeah, there will be a new single before Halloween, and hopefully there will be another one before Christmas. But yeah, this time of year just goes very quickly, and you get to the point where people just want Christmas stuff. So it's like I might go full on Christmas and release a Christmas song, but yeah, I'm gonna be swept up in the kind of Halloween madness for the next few weeks. And last year I went to America for Halloween, and it was absolutely amazing. I did Dark Harbor, I did the Haunted Hayride, I just did a load of those crazy American events, and I've sort of got fear of missing out
Yeah.
because I'm just like, should I be going? And I always want to do things like I want to go and do Halloween in Salem and all this stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah,
how am
yeah,
I missing out? But I'm gonna do like a good British Halloween and try and do as much spooky content as I
yeah. Do
can
it.
because Yeah, no, I have like my website now and my YouTube channel, and yeah, I'm filming like spooky content and ghost hunts and things like that all of the time. So
Yeah,
yeah, I never really stop. And I love that because I used to just I just realized now, and it's I used to hate social media, and I've
yeah,
just realized what a powerful, if you just take away from like, oh, no one liked you, who's liking this, how many likes
yeah,
is this getting, is because what I hated about social media is like when I first started, it felt like a popularity contest. It felt
yeah,
like sort of being back in school, like begging people to like what you do. And I think when you just focus on this is a tool where I can create and I can share my interests, like I can film content and I can actually make videos
yeah,
outside of the music field, which can be equally as haunting, equally as cinematic. Like I can explore haunted locations, I can go to all these spooky places and share that element of my life as well. And that's been quite liberating for me because as an artist, there's kind of down periods, there's periods when you're not releasing a song, and it just allows me to have that full creativity all the time, which again has been just so liberating. And it's really helped me connect with my audience as well, because like-minded people as well love to see creepy bars, creepy
yeah.
hotels. So yeah, it's really opened like a world for me and I enjoy it so much. And
Oh, good
I'm
to know.
completely turned around from hating social media to absolutely loving it, which is funny. But I think it's like everything. If you focus on the negatives, and of course there's horrible people, I mean the horrific things people will say to you on social media boggles my mind. And when you just take out or shut that noise off and focus on the good and focus on the people who are like, oh wow, this is really cool, I love that location, I'd love to go there. If you focus on that, then it becomes a different world. So yeah, it's kind of, yeah, trying to balance out the good with the bad, I think.
And that is where I'm going to lead this interview, just on that really positive note, because I think I read somewhere that if someone tells you something, your mind thinks of, for 2 seconds, it thinks of negative things, and then you can get to
Mm.
a positive. And it's a lot about learning to leave the positives, ignore the positives, wait, that was stupidly, ignore the negatives, ignore and wait for the positives to come. And then
Well,
you can just be happier.
Well, I think it depends what kind of personality you have, but I have the kind of personality where there can be a million lovely comments, but the
Yeah,
ones that will play on your mind are the really savage ones.
yeah,
And you've just got to think, oh, hold on, I need to look at the other side. There's these people who are appreciating what I do. So why am I going to listen? And it's always, if you look into it, it's always like these strange, like, profiles that are private with a picture of like a duck on them, and it's like, who even is this person? You're happy to insult someone online with a completely faceless private profile so no one can know who you are, but that's just like, that just goes to show what type of person you are. It literally could be anyone, and it does that person really matter? And it's like, in the context and the scheme of the world, then no, because hopefully you're never going to meet them in real life. So yeah, it's perspective, I suppose. But yeah, if you're having a bad day, that's hard, because if you're
yeah.
having a
This
bad
is it.
day, everyone hates me. This
Yeah,
person
yeah,
thinks I'm the worst thing in the world.
yeah. And
But
it's that
yeah,
one negative
it's
thing, but
hard.
actually,
Yeah,
and
it's not easy. I mean, it really isn't easy, but yeah, you gotta try. You gotta focus on the good, I think.